I'm Debbie Goldman. My colleague Kate Snyder's over there, and I'll be doing the presentation. She will be here as the meeting concludes in case there are any additional questions. We provided a red packet for you so that you'll have some takeaways. I hope this will entice you enough to want to delve a little more into this issue. Many of you may have heard about the fact that AT&T in March made a bid to, and it was accepted, to purchase T-Mobile USA, another wireless company. And CWA thinks that this is a very good thing for consumers and for workers and for women. And I want to explain why. And the first question that comes to us when we, as CWA, the union that represents folks at AT&T, talk about the fact that we're for a merger, is people say, unions usually oppose mergers. It means consolidation. It potentially means synergies, which translate to job loss. Why are you for this merger? So that's what I want to explain to you. And hopefully, as a result, you'll join us in some way in supporting the merger, because it's very important. And let me frame this. My good friend Heidi Hartman has produced over the years some reports for CWA that have been entitled Telecommunications, the Exception to the Rule of Low Pay for Women's Work. And over every 3 years or so, we would reach out to Heidi and say, would you update the data? And every 3 years, until recently, her report would show that while most female-dominated industries have low pay, because we know of market-based pay discrimination, which does not properly reward women-dominated jobs for our skills and responsibility, in the communications industry, that was not true. And Heidi's reports found, what's the reason? Oh, and there's one other sector that is an exception to the rule, and that's government workers. And Heidi's research would show what explains this difference, and she was able to show correlations between the high level of collective bargaining, of union representation in the communications industry, and I believe in other reports, not the ones that I would work with her on, she showed the same thing among state and local government workers. So that collective bargaining and union representation work to overcome the market-based pay discrimination. And women, because of collective bargaining, were able to work and get compensated much more commensurate with our skills and our responsibilities. The latest report that she did said, but this is in danger because of the shift in employment in the communications industry. The dynamic industry, the new technologies, the growth is all on the wireless side and on what we call in the industry data, what you think of as internet access. That's where the growth is. And you have newcomers and non-union companies coming in, whether it's a Sprint, a T-Mobile, which when they came over from Germany, it's owned by a German company, did not bring the good labor relations that we know they have in Germany, but sunk to what you find in so many American transplants. Or whether it's the cable industry that competes to give you broadband access. And so Heidi's report said, but this is in danger as the level of union representation in the industry drops. And in your packets, just to give you one piece of data, is a one-pager, the AT&T T-Mobile merger benefits for women. And you can see on the first page 2 graphs. The graph looks at what are the wages and benefits. I want to emphasize this includes the monetization of your benefits. People aren't earning these numbers. Part of it is their health and pension benefits, where they have them. For service representatives, the people who, when you call up to, and hopefully you get a person, not press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and eventually you get a person. But when you finally reach a customer service rep, 2/3 of the people in those jobs are women. If you look at the graph on the left, the Bell telcos, the old Bell system, heavily unionized, 90% union. The wages about 40% higher, wages and benefits. And a huge difference here are the benefits. But if you look in the wireless and cable industries, the wireless industry is only a third union, the cable industry only 4%. These folks have lower wages and particularly inferior health benefits, and if they have pensions, they're lucky. So why this is such an important merger for women as workers is that there's right now only one union wireless company in this country, and that's AT&T. 43,000 AT&T wireless employees are union. Verizon, people ask me, I thought they were union. On the wireline side or their Fios product, they're union, but not on the wireless side. And Sprint, when we tried to organize Sprint, they shut down a call center, moved the work, and now they outsource 70% of their customer service work. So we have in our contract with AT&T, what those of you who were supportive of the Employee Free Choice Act know, was an attempt to try and create a level playing field for workers where the employer's efforts to create fear and intimidation would be moved out of the decision by workers whether or not they want to have union. We have that in our contract with AT&T. And so when AT&T will buy a company, and they've had quite a number of wireless mergers, they will stay out of the process. We'll have an opportunity to reach out to the employees. They have the choice whether or not to select a union. Our view is that if this merger goes through, as we've had the experience with other wireless mergers, and the employees have a free choice, they have selected union representation. For the first time, this industry will become majority, this industry meaning wireless will become majority union, and we will have the opportunity, I hope, to avoid the challenge that Heidi has talked about. Now, I have just 2 more minutes to talk about the consumer side. People say to me, yes, but when you have mergers, that means less competition. In fact, in the wireless industry, it's very competitive. You cannot open the newspaper without seeing full-page ads. You cannot watch TV without seeing lots of ads for wireless. This is evidence of competition. Another piece of evidence is that even as people use their cell phones and their tablets more, for much more access to the internet, in fact, wireless prices have gone down 33% over the past 12 years, even as there have been mergers. So these mergers allow efficiencies. One of the greatest benefits of this proposed merger will be that AT&T has committed, and we want the Federal Communications Commission to ensure this is encapsulated in their order, committed to build out the next generation of wireless broadband, which means very, very fast service to almost every part of the country, 97%. We know we have a digital divide. We know rural areas are unserved. We know lower income people are not connecting to broadband internet. This is a game changer and will expand broadband access. And if you have any other questions, I've been told that I can take some questions, and we have more material here, and we're eager to answer any of your questions about this.
Are the laws in any of the right-to-work states going to keep you from, some of the states have really strict laws. There are 22 right-to-work states. Will that keep you from organizing people?
In fact, our union in many of the right-to-work states is one of the largest unions in those states because with the new, and many of these call centers now, the companies locate them in the South, in the right-to-work states. But once those employees know that they do not have their job at risk, and we reach out to them, We in fact have had great success in them selecting union representation. So we have a lot of representation in the South in the right-to-work states. What right-to-work really does, as you know, is it means that if you have representation in a right-to-work state, the individual employees have the right to choose not to be in the union, even though the union is bargaining on their behalf and representing them. But they can choose not to be in the union, whereas in another state, if the union is representing them, one would expect that they would participate. I really want to thank you very much.
Since our research was cited, I just want to say that the last report we did, right now we're finishing up a report, but the one before, it was very clear that women were losing employment opportunities in communications. It's partly because the women's jobs, as in many other areas, tend to be automated out. First we automated out the operator job, and then we have customer service, and as Debbie has pointed out, the non-union firms are busily moving that abroad. And we just found that there's a shrinkage of opportunity. I noticed in the minutes of the last NCWO meeting that when AOL bought Huffington Post, they fired every woman reporter but one. So this is the kind of thing that is going on in the industry. A lot of the media part of the industry is very, we looked at broad communications, including newspaper, print, everything. It's very much in turmoil now because of wireless taking away from wired, internet taking away from print. So the older parts of the industry were more unionized, the newer parts are not. And the threat to women's employment is coming these days primarily from the newer parts of the industry. So this is just a really good reason to support unions in this entire industry. And I am for this particular merger for the reason that it will improve the working conditions of so many women workers. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks.